My name is Mr. N, and I am the team lead for the Financial Examination Default Hearing Unit for the Director of Maintenance Enforcement. Sitting next to me is Ms. B. She's an examination officer. We are here today at the jail to do a financial examination on Mr. T. On January 17, 2008, an order was granted by the Court of Queen's Bench ordering Mr. T to be held in custody until such time as the Director can do a financial examination. Mr. T is also to reappear before a court of law in the city of Edmonton on January 31st of 2008. At that time, it will be a show cause hearing where Mr. T will have to show cause why he should not be fully incarcerated. The reason for this is the Director is enforcing a child support spousal support order. Mr. T had this order changed, reflecting spousal support at $100 per month, maintenance $700 per month. As of today, there is $29,901.14. Now, for the record, can I have your name, sir?
Mr. T.
You're employed with, who are you employed with, Mr. T?
I'm employed with TN Productions.
How long have you been employed with TN?
Since January. I was hired over the phone.
Prior to being employed by TN, who were you previously employed by?
LC Production Services.
And how long were you employed by LC?
I was employed from January 3rd to, I don't know the exact date, I stopped working for them sometime in September, I think.
What was your income with LC Services?
About $185 a day.
And how much days per month would you have been employed?
Well, that depends. In February of last year, I was employed for probably 22 days, but then in June, I was employed for 4. In August or July, I was employed for 3. August, none.
What type of work were you doing with LC?
Well testing.
Due to your specific, though sporadic work, have you considered applying elsewhere when you were employed with LC?
Yes, I did. Hence why I'm working at TN.
What type of work were you doing with TN right now?
Well testing.
How much money are you making?
I'm making $200 a day.
Until you were picked up on this warrant, how many days have you been employed?
Well, I worked 2 days in December, and I worked 2 days prior to my warrant, and then I was supposed to keep working straight through, and I was picked up on my warrant. I guess it would have been every day up until that date.
How much money does your employer owe you right now?
About $800 minus taxes.
Is there any reason why you're not making your court-ordered child support payment?
Just because lack of work. I have garnishes on my wages. It is not that I'm hiding my money or anything. I have not had much work. It has been really, really bad this year in the oil patch. A lot of people are hurting. As much as you read in the papers, everything is all rosy ever since the royalty tax went in. There isn't a lot of work. A lot of rigs didn't move. They didn't turn oil this summer.
Tell me a little about your expenses. When you talk about your expenses, I want you to tell me how much do you pay for your mortgage or for rent?
I'm renting. It's $500 a month.
Who would your landlord be?
I pay rent to my mother.
So you're renting from your mother?
Yes.
Can I have your mother's name?
Miss S.
Does this $500 cover the utilities?
Yes, it does.
What about your groceries?
My groceries, I kind of buy lunches for myself. It usually runs $100 to $200 a month.
What other expenses do you have?
Cigarettes.
Okay, give me a cost.
Give you a cost, $160, $170 a month.
Since you were picked up on this warrant, how many cigarettes did you get?
None.
This might be a good indication you need to quit. What other expenses do you have, sir?
That is it. I have a lot of debts.
Can you hold on a minute? Do you drink alcohol?
Yes, I do on occasion.
How much do you spend per month on alcohol?
What, 20?
20 a month? $20 a month?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you on any prescription drugs?
No.
Are you on any off-the-street drugs?
No.
Have you ever been on drugs?
Prescription?
Illegal drugs?
Yes.
Okay, when was the last time?
Years ago.
Now, tell me a little bit about your expenses that you have, your full expenses in respect to your debt.
Oh, I owe money to various collection agencies.
I would like you to specify to me the type of debts that you have, which financial organization or person that you owe it to.
Unfortunately, at this time, with my limited resources, I can't do that.
Off the top of your head, give me a couple.
One was a $1,000 overdraft, and I had a payday loan for $350, which was occurring at 53% annual.
Have you ever been into bankruptcy, sir?
Yes, I have.
Have you been discharged from bankruptcy?
Yes, I have.
When did you apply to your trustee to go into bankruptcy?
That would have been 1999, I believe.
When were you discharged?
2000.
Okay, I want to go back on this order that you had recently changed in 2007.
I had the arrears completely wiped out, but I couldn't, as retarded as it is, I couldn't make $800 payments from June to July.
Why did you agree to $700 a month?
Because I felt, if you look back into it, like this were the beginning of the year, I could easily have made those payments. Because I was, if you look back when they were garnishing my wages in March and February, they were garnishing my wages at 40% before taxes of my pay, which was approximately $2,000 a month at least. Right? Because in my industry, in the winter months, you are busy. This time when I make money and they come, it's usually just the summer. I know my industry, we know April and May there is no work, so you know I can't make adjustments for that. I had no money up until
You retain counsel to vary this order?
Yes, I did.
Who was your lawyer?
JK.
How much did JK charge you to get this?
It was through legal aid because I had no money.
When was the last time you filed income tax returns?
That would be 2006 or 2005. I'm not sure. I was going to file my income tax last year and give her more money. My ex-spouse has done my income taxes, well, since we were together. I gave her my T4s and she actually has them. It is in her possession right now. She was reluctant to file mine last year because she was collecting welfare and it would have taken away from her welfare checks. I've asked for her to give them back. I did work for quite a few employers during that year. So I just missed last year and that's the reason why I haven't. If you asked me what my income was, I would have guessed it would be approximately, it was under $25,000 last year.
Did you provide your documents to the court to have the order changed?
I brought my documents to the court. We actually never went to court. We sat in the next room with her lawyer and my lawyer and worked out the agreement. They wouldn't accept my T4s that I had. I told them I made under $25,000, but her lawyer wouldn't accept the fact because I wasn't on income, it wasn't on an income tax return. And she said, well, you couldn't be lying and this is that. And I said, well, fine. So we agreed on $48,000 just as a figure that would be pulled out of the air.
What about the year 2005? How much money did you make in 2005 approximately?
Honestly, I would like to tell you, but I don't have that information in front of me. My lawyer has that all on file, and I haven't. I have it at home.
Mr. T, have you ever served time in prison?
No.
Is this your first visit to?
Yes, it is.
So this is your first visit?
Yes, visit that is.
Tell me today, before I continue here, what are you going to do to influence me to have you released tomorrow or today? Or have you, let me finish, sir. Or have you held here until January 31st and you appear before a judge again, and I'm asking the courts to hold you for an additional 60 days. Tell me, what are you prepared to influence us that we should have you released sooner than January 31st?
Well, I would go back to work for TNT Production Services and go to work every day. And you guys are garnishing my wage 40% before taxes, therefore enabling my child to have money through maintenance.
Do you have a bank account, sir?
Yes, I do.
What do you bank with?
CT.
How much money do you have in your bank account?
I think 64 cents.
Do you have any other bank account?
No, I do not.
Do you have any investments?
No.
Stocks?
No.
Bonds?
No.
RRSPs?
No.
So all the time you have worked, you have never contributed to RRSP?
Yes, I had a pension. It was approximately $14,000. I signed it over to my wife 2 years ago.
Who was the pension through?
It was through NF.
So you signed $14,000 over to your wife 2 years ago?
Yes.
Was this in respect to a matrimonial settlement?
This was in respect to, at the time of the divorce, when she got her ex parte order. It stated that they had frozen my accounts, I believe, and...
So it would have been a matrimonial settlement?
Well, no, it would have been split, but I believe I was in the arrears then. I just agreed to sign it over to her because I do believe I received a letter from NF. I don't think it had ever shown in when I went to court last year, I looked at my records and I don't know if it reflected the fact or not that it was a payment. But I received a letter from NF stating that it was held in confidence due to maintenance enforcement. So that was just over $14,000. That would have been the spring of, no, I would have to look at my records. That was the fall of last year. She cashed that in September of last year.
Okay, have you ever owned property in the province of Alberta?
Yes, I owned a home. The amortization on it was under $100,000. The house was sold in 2006 for $183,000.
How much was the mortgage on it?
Less than 100, I think around 97.
What happened to the remaining equity in the house?
The remaining equity went to my ex-spouse,
The whole amount?
the whole amount.
And who made that decision to give her the whole amount?
The judge who signed my ex parte order when he granted her custody of the home.
So that was in respect, so that would have been a matrimonial order by the court that the court granted her sole proprietorship or ownership of the house.
Yes.
How many kids do you have with her, sir?
2,
The ages?
11 and 7.
Do you have any other property in the province of Alberta?
No,
Do you have property in the country of Canada?
no,
Sir, do you have any assets or anything that has equity in it?
I have.
That is solely under your name?
I have a silver chain I got for Christmas. I'm not trying to be light or make a joke. I have nothing.
Do you own a cell phone?
No.
Have you ever owned a cell phone?
I owned a cell phone during my marriage, but it was under my wife's name. Consequently, because of the bankruptcy, when we got separated, I applied for a cell phone, but I needed a $1,000 deposit, so no.
Do you belong to a union?
Sorry?
Do you belong to a union?
To a union? Yes.
Tell me something about your skill in the field that you work in. Explain to me what skills you have and what educational background you have in respect to your skill.
Well, I just have a grade 12 education. So far as the oil patch goes, that's not really education. It is for my field work. It is not exactly the highest regarded, but I have close to 13 years experience in the industry.
Be more specific in respect to the 13 years experience you have. What do you actually do in the oil industry?
11 years I worked on service rigs, and I worked as a roughneck to a derrick hand, to a drill hand, to a rig manager, tool push. After my divorce, I couldn't handle the stress of my job anymore. I just couldn't do it. I wasn't in any shape mentally to be doing that job. Consequently, my work suffered greatly. I quit the oil patch for a year and tried to do something else.
When you were married and working in the oil field as a drill hand or tool push, what was your annual income?
That varied from year to year. If I look, I think I made $64,000 one year. I made $89,000 the next year. It just depends on the work available.
What I'm having struggles with as I am listening to you is that you had a home, yes. You're up to date on your bills.
Yes.
Because you afforded these things because your income, I would say, fluctuated from 60,000 to 80,000 annually.
Yes.
Am I right?
Correct.
Why would you now go back and work in the same oil patch for the same oil industry and making, as you put it, $24,000 a year?
Well, no, that is what I am working to do. I'm only a helper as a well tester supervisor at $200 a day. But due to my sporadic nature, if it would have been a busier year, the prior 2 or 3 years, it was really busy. Then as of this fall, I would have been a night supervisor. I changed my job, but not my industry. At this point in my long-term plan, I was planning on I should have been making $350 a day, plus a truck, which is, it's just a matter of time, and I just have to put the time in because I changed jobs. Instead of the rigs, I am working as a well test advisor. There is no stress involved.
How do you get to work, sir?
How do I get to work? I go to work, I get dropped off at the shop, and we go out to the field.
Who drops you off at the shop?
Either my mom or my cousin.
When was the last time you had a valid driver's license?
Last time I had a valid driver's license, I think it was still valid until February 1st.
February 1st, 2008?
Yeah, I believe it is. That is when the cancellation is final. Or it is, I think, 17 days from December that I received another letter from MEP.
Do you own a vehicle, sir?
No.
When was the last time you owned a vehicle?
Last time I owned a vehicle was fall of last year. I bought a Volkswagen Jetta for $800. Then the starter went on it. I needed a new battery. I could just not afford to put it on the road, so it was sold at an auction.
Have you ever been self-employed?
No.
If you were to get back your license or access to a motor vehicle, would that enable you to find a better job than what you are doing today?
Well, definitely. I couldn't get a better job without it.
So this position that you have at TN,
Yes?
you were saying that you were approaching your busy season right now, correct? Because it's winter time?
Yeah, I would have worked every day, and I'm not saying this because of my position. Every day that I'm in jail, I would have worked. I had just gone back to work. I just got home from work when they showed up with my warrant.
Mr. T, have you ever been on WCB, workers' compensation?
Have I ever been? Yes. I was on WCB shortly for a period of time in 1998 or 99. Approximately a month, I believe.
Do you have an existing claim with WCB?
No, I don't.
Have you ever received any lump sum payment out of WCB or any accident claim?
No.
Never have?
No.
Have you ever received any inheritance?
No.
You have not?
No.
You live with your mom?
Yes.
How old is your mom?
My mom is 65.
So when you're unable to pay your rent, I take it that she looks after all your day-to-day expenses?
Yes.
Do you have any other siblings, brothers or sisters?
No.
Are you the sole child of the parents?
I am now, yes.
Do you stand to inherit anything from your parents?
Yes, I do.
What do you stand to inherit from your parents?
Her house, I guess.
Is your father still alive?
No.
Is your mom in a position to pay off your account?
Oh, no.
No?
Do you have a relationship with your children?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. I'm going to go back again and I'm going to ask you this question, and I want you to think about this question before. This has absolutely nothing to do with the garnishee or your wage, garnishee on your bank account. This has to do with the ability to make a lump sum payment to get you out of jail. I'm going to ask you this question again. What are you willing to pay today or this week for me to recommend to the courts to have you released and reappear in my office again, because we have come to a reasonable solution in respect to your child support?
I am not prepared to pay anything because I have absolutely no money. I have 64 cents in my bank account, and I have what is owed to me by my employer, which is not payable until January 31st.
So you're going to sit here until January 31st, appear before the courts again, and have a good chance of coming back in here without finding a solution to this problem?
I have no money.
You have no one that you can borrow funds from? Absolutely no one?
No.
Do you have anything to say before I close, sir?
No.
Okay, I'm going to give you this in writing, but for the record, I want this to go on the record. You're going to provide to me sometime after January 31st, because you're going to allow you to sit here until January 31st, because we are unable to come to some type of compromise. Effective immediately, the director will put a garnishee on TN Production Services Limited for whatever funds you have coming payable to you. We will garnishee it.
100%?
We will garnishee 40%. Secondly, you are to provide to us 30 days after January 31st, your last 5 years' taxes.
Okay.
You are to provide to me your employment record for the last year. You are to provide to me bank statements from Canada Trust account for the last year.
Okay.
I also want documents from MF showing that your RSP was collapsed and paid out to your ex-wife. I want to know why this money was paid out. You are the only person who can tell me. Was this a matrimonial settlement? Was this funds in respect to your RSP was collapsed to your child support?
For my child support.
I want to know. I want you to get these documents because I am still baffled as to why you would go back into court, have your order changed and not paying under your order. The reason why the judge put you in jail is because he probably had the same feeling like I do. You cannot have your order changed and just don't pay on it. It doesn't work that way.
It's not that I didn't pay on it. I didn't pay enough. They still were garnishing my wages from LC. I just didn't have the work.
But this is Alberta. There are jobs everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go.
I know that. I understand that. But you know, they tell you, okay, you were going to work on Monday. Monday you call in. It should have been by Wednesday. You do that and all of a sudden a month goes by.
But the thing is, the industry, you well know what the work situation is like. Have you never thought of perhaps, going into another type of work so that you could secure payments on a monthly basis? There are all kinds of job opportunities and not necessarily oil field related.
Mr. T, if I were to say to you, your mother had called me and asked me to get you out of jail, and I told her due to the nature of your case I was looking for $5,000.
Yes.
I realize you don't have the financial ability to pay $5,000.
Yes.
If I were to say to you today that you have a relative come in and pay $1,000 by the close of business tomorrow, I will get you out of jail by Friday morning. I want you to listen to me very carefully. Don't shake your head. If you're telling me you have the ability to make $200 a day, you're going to go to work next week. By next week, Monday, you could be back to your work, or you could be back to work before the weekend, because all it would take for me to do is pick up the phone and have you transferred to the court on Friday morning and have this warrant vacated and have you released on your own. I am looking at a young man before me that needs help. You need serious help. This issue of child support is going to be with you for a long time. Your kids are young, or this is a long-term relationship. The relationship that you are going to have with us, got to be a good relationship, because I don't like coming here every 3 to 4 months and look at you and say the same thing. I hope this is the last time that I see you in an environment like this. Sir, I am telling you, seriously consider what I'm telling you. I am going to give you my business card. I want you to call me before the close of business tomorrow, or what your situation is, because all it will take for the court in Edmonton here, have the warrant vacated and have you released. But you will have to show good faith, and you'll have to find some friend or family to pay at least $8,000 in good faith before we release you. I am going to give you 2 documents before I go. It is imperative that you fill these documents and bring them to me to court on January 31st. Or if you have raised those funds and are in financial ability to have somebody come in and make those payments, then by Friday 10 a.m. in the morning, you will be released on your own and have this matter dealt with. Now, before I close, do you have any questions that you need to ask me, or any issues that I did not address that you wish to address?
Can I get a copy of all them things you asked for?
In closing, I have requested Mr. T that he raise at least $1,000 before this Friday. If he can raise those funds, we will make an application to the court to have this warrant vacated and have him released on his own. At that point, we will be re-serving Mr. T another summons to appear in our office. Mr. T understands the drill. If he doesn't appear, there will be another warrant for his arrest, and we will arrest him again. Once Mr. T is released, I will provide him a document listing that is required by him to provide to our office within 30 days, that will be employment records and tax information, bank statements, RSP information. What I am giving him today is a blank copy of a statement of finance that he is to fill out and bring to court with him when I see him on Friday, the 31st of January. This hearing is now